What's good, YouTube? It is your girl Trisha checking back in. And for those of you who are new to my channel, well, I'm Latricia. I am an advocate of change. I am a nonprofit owner of Let's Direct Our Own Path, where I do supportive housing. I do one-on-ones. And again, um, my description and everything is below. And welcome. And anybody who's returning, hey, how y'all doing? I hope everything is good. Um, I would like it if you guys, as you join in, I would like it if you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because it helps push the message. Even if it doesn't work for you, I'm hoping that it will resonate with someone else who needs the help, needs the guidance, or just to find my soul family. But what I want to talk to you guys today about is the beauty of your own unfolding. And the only reason I want to talk to you about the beauty of your own unfolding is because it's not easy to start a new chapter of life. It's not easy becoming a new or higher version of yourself. In fact, it's hard, especially when you were raised in a society or an environment where love had condition. It wasn't unconditional. Everything had to be because of something else. And it shaped and molded you for years until that existence just couldn't sustain you anymore. And that's what I want to talk about today because for some of us, we saw too much. We just saw too much, whether it was addiction, whether it was struggles, whether it was the broken dreams that we had. Because sometimes that speaks louder than who you are at your core. That speaks louder volume. And when those volumes and those deceptions and those struggles start creeping up, you learn that you're not living, you're just surviving. And then you learn that surviving is norm. That is your norm. And when that happens, you realize it doesn't matter how smart you are because you look at the survival end of things and you look at your trauma and then you forget that you're brilliant. And then you look at your abuse. Ooh, and that confuses you because you equate your abuse to your wealth. Mm. And then in those moments when that's happening, your low self-esteem kicks up higher because it still whispers louder than the truth in you, mm, which causes a distraction. Mm. But the beauty of your unfolding is you wake up. You wake up, that you learn that you're still breathing, that you learn a little bit and a little bit more about yourself as you unfold. And you realize you're not perfect. And you realize no one is. And you're able to capture back the small moments that God told you that you were beautiful, that you were wonderfully made. True. Because when you look back over your life, you go, gosh, is my prayers being answered? Is God, is you sure is he here? And you can look at the journal entries that you put in your journal, that you cried, that you stained. You imprinted most of your journals with tears. And you get the chance to look back at all the times you just really, really wanted to give up. Mm. But Jesus didn't let you. And on the flip side of all the heartbreak, everything that you found in life, the biggest blessing that you found is that you found God. Mm. And it wasn't in a church, but it was in your loneliness. It was in your questioning. It was in your silence. It was in your tears. Mm. And then during those times, he reminded you that you were not forgotten, that you were not just a statistic, that you were not just your past, that you were not too broken, that you couldn't become whole again. He said, this is the beauty of your own unfolding in this season. That yes, Your community carries pain that, yes, the odds have been stacked against you. He said, and yes, generations before you had lacked the tools to find him. And when they found him, it was too hard. It was too overwhelming. The calling was too great that they didn't want to take up their cross because that meant that they had to be different than the environment. He said, but it was something that was inside of you. This is what makes it beautiful. Because something that when you come from an environment that was so toxic that you were able to say, but yet it's something on the other side. I got to see it through. Oh, that when you start looking at scripture and you start reading scripture, he said, you've seen it differently. It sparks something in you. Oh, so this is why you're blessed. Said blessed. You were blessed to hear these things. You were blessed to hear his voice. He said many before lacked the intuition to hear his voice. Mm. He said, so in this season, he don't want you to be ashamed of your unfolding. He said, rather embrace it, love it. He said, it's beautiful. He said, yeah, come with some fear. He said, because you're walking in territories you never knew that it was for you. So that's what makes this all beautiful. He said, well, especially when you can look back at your environment and everything there is just broken promises, where addiction lied, where survival took up most of the space of your own joy. Oh, he said, and he understands that your parents could have lacked the wisdom to know him or to teach him. Mm. He said, but this education that he given you, this molding that he given you, is because you understood that success is possible. Ooh. And that your trauma might whisper, but it doesn't get the final say in this story. He said, this is the spot where you understand that you were always smart. You were always beautiful. That you were always fearfully and wonderfully made. He said, even when the world tries to doubt you, could silence your brilliance. Oh, he said, in this season, he's unburying all your gifts for you. The only thing he asks you to do is have faith and walk it out. So, do you got faith to walk this out in this season? He said, because the abuse left you scarred. Oh, it left you with low self esteem, that it cast you into the shadows. He said, but in this season, he stepped you into his light, to his grace, to his mercy, oh, where he's showing you how to rewrite a story. Mm. He said, even when the world could not see you, he saw you. That's why he sat with you in the middle of your storm, in the middle of your brokenness. He said, when the world tried to label you, he said he had to rip that off so that you can get his label. Oh, he said, so what he put into you, he don't want you to hold back in this season. Mm. He said, what he's teaching you is not a Sunday sermon. This is not something you're finna get out of the churches. This is not something you're finna get communing just with everybody. He said, but what he's giving you, the beauty of this unfolding that he's giving you in this season is because y'all spirits became one. That you understand that this is a declaration of you dying to self and allowing him to unfold you to who we know you could be. He said, this is where the beauty comes in. He said, because when the doubt got in you, it was so great that you stopped believing, that you stopped trusting, that you believed the clearance tag that was on you was what it was. Said, but the sadness that crept up in there, the loneliness, the weight of your own loneliness. Mm. It casts you into the middle of your own storm to where he had to meet with you in your own tears. He said, look back at all the people you were trying to make happy, to try to please. He said, but it was at a deficit to you. He said, but when he taught you how to draw back into your energy, how when he taught you to look into yourself, when he taught you what the inner me looked like, when he taught you what the intimacy to look into you, to look into him looks like, he said, because he understood that he didn't want you to go unrecognizable. He said he didn't want you to worry that all your tears was for nothing. All those setbacks was for nothing. He said, but baby, all of that was because it was for a purpose. He said, because there was a divine truth that your trauma could not teach you, that your environment could not teach you. He said, but when you came to me, it's because he said he had a promise that was inside of you that was going to raise you up from it. Ooh. And he said, and now what you're carrying is a new version of you. And it's sacred because it's a commitment that is planted within him. Mm. He said, in this commitment, no one can take. And oh, you guys. So this month I was doing a little self-reflection, right? After I got off of work, I was sitting here just trying to reflect because I was trying to get ready for June. But when I was looking back at May and what I had told to myself, okay, you guys, I got a book. It is called, I can show it to you, The Phenomenal Woman. It is my monthly planner. It goes month by month, right? But inside my planner, you guys, you see, I write all over my pages, right? Oh, and I got all my papers and stuff falling out. But I write over my pages, right? And one of the things that I have put in here was to always put yourself first. But anyway, the as being a phenomenal woman, it says choose happiness. You have to choose your happiness, right? And when I wrote all over my pages, one of the things I told myself is learn from your understanding and walk in your wisdom. And in the process of that, lift and rise up to the higher version of yourself. And when I was looking at this and I was reflecting on this, I said, God, you could not given me a better word to tell everybody that it is beauty in your unfolding. He said, because you've seen the statistics of your community, especially as I work as a nurse. I get a chance to see the statistics of my community. I get a chance to see the people who have to come into these clinics and what they're coming in there for. He said, and the beauty of that is that when you see this right now, when you're learning, when you're unfolding, he said you're getting a chance to live through breaking a cycle of drugs, of alcohol, of poverty, of injustice, of educational gaps. He said you're getting a chance to break the mold. He said this is the chance where you are choosing healing. This is the chance where you are choosing faith. He said you are choosing growth. He said, and when you're choosing these things in life, it is not easy. He said it's not easy because you got to back this up. You got to be able to walk this out. And he said, and when you look at the people who were before you, they didn't want to do this. But he said, you got to always remember what he told you. In Jeremiah 29:11, he said, for I knew the plans that I have for you, declare the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. He said, your surroundings that you came from may have been a broken system. Ooh. He said, and trauma was passed to you as your inheritance in one half. He said, but in this half of your story, your inheritance is him, your sacredness in him, your spirituality in him. Oh, he said, so you can no longer look back and identify yourself as that past brokenness, that past addictions, that past that said you weren't good enough. He said, instead, understand that the seed he planted inside of you was because he wanted you to understand your divine identity, the greatness that's within inside of you. And most of all, he wanted you to get a healing that no man could shake. He said in this season, he's giving you some sturdy foundation. He gave you sturdy roots within him. He said the only thing he wants you to do is bloom. He said this is where you bloom. This is where you get to see the beautiful flower that he has made you out to be. He said, but would you trust it? Would you believe it? He said, would you walk in it? Ooh. Mm. He said, because what the generations before you failed to do was to train you, was to show you. He said the beauty of when you stepped into the spirit is that he told us in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in a way he shall go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. He said what he's training us up in this season is for us not to depart from him. Ooh. He said, but he said, even your parents, he said, your parents might not have been able to do this. Your fleshly parents. He said, but when you stepped into your spiritual father, he said, I'm training you up in a way that you can't depart from me. He said, even when no one in your neighborhood made it out, God said he's training your heart to rise you above that so that you could reach up and break a cycle that doesn't have the final say. He said, I told you when you stepped into this with me, he said, he will give you a crown of beauty instead of ashes. Oh, he said, in the oil of joy instead of mourning, in a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. He said, in this season, he said, yes, low self esteem is real. He said, yes, the inner critic is loud. He said the voice that told you you were not enough, the voices that echo, that echo, that echo, that echo, that helped create this old character version of you that made you live in this false identity. He said, but when you chose to surrender to him, when you chose to step into his presence, he said he helped you take off a mask. Oh, and he said when he helped you take off that mask, it's because you understood that you were fearfully and wonderfully made, just the way you are, the quirks and all, the hidden secrets and all. And the beauty of that is he said, throw it at my feet. He said, and let me clean you up. And let me change your life. Mm. He said, because in this season, nothing, not your past, not your pain, not your family history, can cancel what he gave you. And the way that you chose to walk in his obedience, he said nothing can change that. He said, because right now, what he wants you to understand and see, he said, and for some of us, if you can't see it, if you don't understand it, he said, baby, because you don't have your horse blinders on. Mm. He said, but when you put your horse blinders on, you will believe again. You would choose to walk with him. You would choose to build something in him. And he said, and when you see this, it's not going to matter that you felt unseen. It's not going to matter that you felt unworthy. He said, because at the end of the day, you're going to know he chose you, that he sees you, that he renamed you, ooh, and that he chose you a different future than what your past was trying to create. And he told me today to go back. This was so funny because in my unfolding, me understanding this whole unfolding process, I said, God, what are we doing here? He said, did you ask me the right question? I said, show me what you want me to see. And when I asked him to show me, he took me back, y'all. He took me back to my book where I had wrote my, so it's a whole nother book. It's called Good Vibes Only. And he took me back to what I said about my vision statement for 2025. And I have wrote that I am committed to living a life of compassion, growth, and service, using my skills in healthcare to support others in their healing process while continuously striving to grow emotionally, spiritually, and professionally. When I had to go back and look at what I wrote this for, I said, God, show me why you wanted me to understand this. He said, because my kingdom works. He said, my kingdom works. And he had to take me back to understanding why he called me out of the things that I was in. And he said, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. And as you work for the Lord, not for human masters. He said, right now, what you are working for is for him. He said, this is sacred work to find your own healing. It's not just for others. He said, but what you're doing right now is for yourself. He said, and the reason he's telling you is to do it for yourself is because you had to rise above your own trauma. You had to rise above the things that it was hindering you, the things that kept you blocked, the things that kept you stuck. He said, and no, it's not a pretty sight when you understand how low your self-esteem was. No, it's not a pretty sight when you have to see how bad you put yourself on clearance. He said, but the beauty of that is that I'm going to restore you. He said, the beauty of that is that I'm going to show you how to value yourself and how to value this temple and how to value this spirit and how to value the wisdom that I put inside of you so that you could walk it out. He said, man couldn't show you this because they were too busy lusting after the things of this world with you until you ran yourself on empty. Said the beauty of this and your unfolding is that you had to come and sit with him and let him mold you and let him grow you. He said, and it wasn't easy. This wasn't an overnight thing. He said, look back over your life. He said, look back over your life. He said, it wasn't easy, was it, baby? He said, but look how far you came. He said, now you're able to step into rooms and do things that you were so intimidated by. Mm. He said, look back of things you didn't even want to start, that you thought you were going to have to just do quietly, silently. He said, you're a great teacher, but you were timid in heart of who he was in you. Ooh. He said, but when you sat with me, God said, when you sit with him, he will give you some confidence. Mm. He said, because right now, you are living out your truth. And he reminds us of this in 2 Corinthians 4, chapter 4, verses 8 through 9. He said, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not despair. Ooh. Mm. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Mm. Shut down, but not destroyed. He said, you are unfolding like a rose in a desert, surviving, stretching towards the light, and becoming all that God designed you to be. He said, when you are in this season of your life, you have to understand you are not the sum of your pain. You are a vessel of his promise. And this is the beauty of your own unfolding. He said, because victory is in you. Because you already won when you got Jesus. He said, and that's what the devil wanted to take from you. The devil was banking that you would not understand who you had, that you would not know who team you were on. He said, but the fact that you understood who team you were on in this season is the reason you get to see the beauty of your unfolding. Mm. Mm. So this is the reason you get to see your own beauty. He said, and it's hard to understand your own unfolding when you weren't given the proper tools, when you didn't have the proper mentorship, when you didn't have the proper guidance. He said instead, you learned conditions, you learned pleasing, you learned self-sabotaging ways, you learned fast things. And he said that was the reason fast things. He said when you get something fast, you lose it fast. He said this is why things were slipping through your fingers that you were supposed to be able to hold on to. He said, but in this season, he's giving you something to hold on to. He said he's giving you a peace that passed all understanding, grace that was sufficient. He said, and for some of us, when we were looking at why we were struggling in our businesses and why we were struggling with our schooling or why we were struggling with raising our kids, he said, because you lack his wisdom, you lack his trust, you lack his faith. He said, but the beauty of sitting with him is that he had a chance to teach you, that he had a chance to give you some understanding. And he said, and when you got that understanding, he now lets you walk it out with his wisdom that's planted inside you. He said, and that's why you see in your Excel. This is why you're seeing the change. This is why you're also seeing the chaos because the old you still is trying to fight the new you. You know, when I'm talking about this, it reminds me because I not only just work in the clinics, but I also go and work in the hospitals or with hospice patients. And sometimes I get to see the patients who get real restless, who fight death, who fight death, who fight death. And the more and more they're trying to fight death, it's like the more and more we're trying to medicate them, medicate them, medicate them, medicate them, medicate them. And God said it was no more of you just medicating, medicating, medicating. He said, no, this is coming in raw form. He said, this is why you were wrestling with your flesh. This is why you wrestle with it. He said, because he got to break it off of you. He don't want you to medicate yourself in this season. He don't need you to delve into alcohol. He doesn't need you to delve into the self-sabotaging ways. But instead, he said, you got to sit with this. This is why he told you to he didn't want your heart on your sleeve. He said, the beauty of your unfolding is because you got to feel everything you're going through. You got to feel. You got to see. He said, and ain't everything ain't pretty. He said, it ain't pretty when you got to see the things that you did to yourself and the things you allowed. He said, because this is the beauty of his unfolding with you. This is the beauty of you having to understand it's rough. It's hard. He said, but the beauty is you get to see this unfolding because it's prospering you. It's molding you. And it's showing you that you can conquer things that you once thought only was going to conquer you. Said he know that poverty mindset and that pain and that loneliness and that longing that you went through was your calling. He said, but that was just the beginning of your story. So the story right now that you guys are writing together, so this story is different. This story has many things that go into it. Because he said he's rising you. Let me back that up. He said he has risen you from that. And he stepped you now into your victory so that you can see the glory that's attached to who you are. He said in this season, keep walking in it, keep growing in it, He said most of all, he's happy because all of the trauma, all of the addiction, all of the abuse, he said he still had a little piece in there that longed for love, that screamed love. And he said, and right now, walk into your glory with that love, with this new posture. He said, because his victory is attached to you stepping up to your boldness, to you stepping up to who he called you to be. Because it's a new beginning. He said, the doors is wide open. Said, don't do a Moses. Said, instead, walk through your promised land. Said, it's your promised land. He said, will you walk through it? He said, if he told you to shift, if he told you to move, if he told you where to go, he said, would you go now? He said, don't let your time run out without you stepping into your own land. Step into your land. It's yours. Again, y'all, it is your girl, Trisha, checking back in with a Sunday message. And the message of today was, it is beauty in your own unfolding. Allow it to unfold. Allow it. And no, everybody is not going to like the crown that God placed onto you, but you have to love the crown that he placed onto you. And you have to know that you are worthy of the crown that he placed up on your head. And he said, and yes, it's heavy. Yes, doubt may come up in there. He said, but you got to have the discernment to do it anyway, to walk in that fear, to walk in it. He said, and all he's asking you is, do you have the strength to do it? Because he told y'all, as long as you rested in him, he will help you get through those things. So Jesus was with you. And Jesus showed you what dying of self looks like. He said, in this season, all masses are off. Walk into it. And again, it's your girl Trisha. My description and everything is below. And until next time, I'll catch y'all in the next video. And remember, this is each one teach one season. So if you see your brother or sister crown tipping, help them fix it. You ain't gotta tell them you fixing it. He said just help them fix it in this season. He said it's enough brokenness. Would you help build? He said, are you a builder? Help build his community. Help build his people. He said help build. Because the beauty is he's showing you how to unfold you. And he said, in the process of him unfolding you, do you have the strength to unfold the next? That's the next time.